folks, welcome back to Hudson Valley Prepping and Survival. So today we are going to discuss how to extend your trip to the Salmon River. Stick with me. So the first thing I think we should talk about is the gear that you're going to want. Say you've never been to Pulaski before. It's going to be your first trip up. What are some of the things that you're going to want to go up there to be successful in your trip? Number one, I would say, is a good pair of stocking foot waders. They're ultra lightweight, super light. These things weigh like nothing. When they say stocking foot, you got stockings for feet. These are neoprene booties that are on the bottom of your waders. And you'll need a separate pair of felt bottom boots. Felt bottom boots grip the slippery bottom better than just about anything else. Occasionally you're going to want some spikes to be able to grip to walk up the banks, but they're not essential. Stocking foot waders, you're going to want a good heavy duty rod and reel, whether it's a fly reel. I use an 8-9 fly rod and an 8-9 fly reel up there. 50-pound test is the fly line itself. The backing, I think, is 65 pounds, and rarely do I ever get to the backing. And the leaders that I use are typically about 17-pound leader. Let's see, I think I got some hanging out right here. Yeah, there we go. This is 17-pound fluorocarbon. Now, I use fluorocarbon over monofilament because monofilament stretches. And all you spin casting guys who get the monofilament spun up, fluorocarbon you can actually get on a spin cast reel nowadays. The technology has changed a bit, so it will retain that shape on your spool and it doesn't just fall off like it used to. So that's some of the gear that you're going to need when you're up there. Let's talk about a few other things. All right, so you've got your waders, you've got your rod, you've got your reel, you've got your boots, right? So you're set to go out on the river. Wait a minute. You're going to want a really good, high-quality raincoat. One thing about Pulaski, New York, and anywhere along the Lake Ontario coast is it rains quite often, especially in the fall. It rains a lot. So bring a good quality raincoat with you. If you've got some old military Gore-Tex laying around, I highly recommend that. If you don't have Gore-Tex, get yourself like a Frog Tog or a Carhartt raincoat, good quality raincoat, and stay away from those bright ass colors, please. All right, you think you're set. You're gonna need a net, big ass net. If you think this big is big enough, get it bigger. Get a big long handle so you can get down those holes and pick up those 30-pound salmon. You're gonna want a big net, a big ass net, and a friend, because it's damn near impossible to net these fish yourselves, guys. Damn near impossible. The next piece of gear that you're gonna want is backpack. Doesn't have to be fancy, don't have to spend a lot of money. You're gonna be dragging this thing up and down the banks of the Salmon River. It's covered in salmon slime and people's nasty muddy feet, and it's probably raining like a mofo. So don't spend a lot of money on a backpack for the Salmon River, but get yourself a backpack. I find a lot of people have the vests with the backpack built in. If that works for you, cool. Not my style. I like to be able to take this thing off and sit it on the bank and be lightweight when I'm out there in the water fishing. So I bring a good backpack, not too fancy. So what are some of the things that I bring on my person into the water with me? Hang on, let's check it out. So I'm sure you guys have heard the stories of the Salmon River, the fist fights on the Salmon River. It happens, people fight over spots. It's a great way to not have to buy into any of that bullshit. Your waders, when you pick out waders, see these got a big ass pocket in the front? So it's got like a hand warming kind of pocket, and it's felt lined, guys. So it's super soft in there. It's super warm in there. It's by your chest. This can help warm up your hands on a cold morning. You can throw a hand warmer in there. Really helps out. But it also has a zippered pocket right here. Right, it's just as big as this pocket. Not waterproof, right? It's mesh. We can see right through it. See? Not waterproof on the outside of your waders. In this pocket, I keep a little fishing kit. Now for the Salmon River, you don't need a lot in a fishing kit. So this kit contains hooks, weights, and the sponge, a couple eggs. This stuff down here is stuff that I've actually removed from fish in the river in years past. When I catch them, I pull all the hooks out, especially if they're foul hooked. I remove all the hooks I find in them, and then I release them back into the water. Hooks, weights, bait. That's what you need when you're out there on the river. Now, that little thing of fluorocarbon that I showed you before, that's something else you're going to want to pack in that chest pocket in your waders. You can avoid a lot of bullshit when you don't have to constantly keep going back to shore. Every time you lose a hook, a weight, or need to tie another leader, you can do all that stuff right in the river with some practice. I'm not using no sponge to catch salmon, am I? Well, you can use flies. There's all kinds and types and varieties of flies that you can use to catch these salmon in the Salmon River, and steelhead too. We got everything from your wet, white, and blue woolly buggers to you know, imitation salmon eggs. And believe it or not, here you go. Here's a bumblebee. A bumblebee. Let's see if I can get him out of here. My friend Andy, shout out to Andy, tied all of these himself for me for my trip up there. And they look awesome, man. What a fantastic job, Andy. I want to thank you for the fly kit for the Salmon River. Next time I go up, I will definitely be using some of those. But if you keep all this stuff right in this little chest pocket on your waders, you don't have to leave your spot, and you won't get in any bullshit. Especially if somebody sees you catching fish, they want to come in and take your spot right away. So if you're armed with all the things that you need to retie, you don't have to worry about that bullshit. So that's a good way to keep out of fist fights on the Salmon River. A couple other things you're gonna want while out on the Salmon River. Hopefully you need one of these. This is some 750 cord. I tied a little loop in the end of it here. And believe it or not, guys, this is my salmon stringer. And you're also gonna want yourself a good pair of pliers. Never tail grab a fish. That's how you get a hook in your hand, right in the meat of your hand here when you go to grab them. You know, that dorsal fin sticks up in the back there, and their tail fin sticks up in the back, and that's a common place for them to get hooked. And you don't want to grab one of these things. You want to net them. You want to get him to the shore, get the hooks out of him. If he's foul hooked, get him back in the water right away. If you're not keeping him, get him back in the water right away. Pull any hooks out of them. That's what these guys are for. Yank those hooks out, and if you are going to keep your fish, you can grab a hold of the end of your thing and feed the stringer down underneath his gill plate. That way you're not sticking your hands in a salmon's mouth, because trust me, they got some big sharp ass teeth. So how do I extend my time on the river? I find that most folks are packing up and headed back to camp or the hotel or one of the various establishments in Pulaski to get some food around 11 a.m. Ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce you to the Jetboil Minimo. This thing weighs like next to nothing. And you bring a monster fuel canister with you. I could sustain myself for days out on that island. So a couple bottles of water. This guy, which believe it or not has a coffee press in it as well, and one of my fancy little folding cups. I can press myself some hot coffee on the river. I can also boil some water for the snacks that I carry on the river. Peak refuel, the freeze-dried stuff, it weighs almost nothing, and the amount of calories and fillingness of these things is absolutely incredible. So I carry these guys with me down to the river. I also carry a cheap-ass camp chair because these things break all the time. So you pick this up at Walmart, they're like 20 bucks. Another thing that I carry with me, we discussed the rain and the need for a quality raincoat. I bring a little, I guess I'd call it a tarp. It's almost like a poncho size. This guy's not very big. It's just big enough to cover that chair with my backpack in it on shore and keep some of my stuff dry. But this is a great way to sustain yourself on the river for the entire day. Instead of, being out there till lunchtime and packing up and heading in and coming back and finding out that somebody else is in your spot this is a great way to extend your stay on the river. I hope these pointers help out a little bit. This is Hudson Valley Prepping and Survival, and we'll catch y'all on the next video. We out of here.